Welcome, dear listener, to a journey that begins where the sky meets eternity and silence speaks. Tonight, we step into a realm where myth breathes, and the whispers of gods still travel upon the wind. Imagine the world before stories were written, when voices rose to the stars to explain the unknown. Among the gods of Olympus, one stood taller, cloaked in thunder, and crowned with the endless sky. This is Zeus, the keeper of lightning, the guardian of balance, the voice of power across the heavens. But what if his storm was not fury, not wrath, but a mystery woven in light and hidden meaning? What if thunder was not a warning, but a song, guiding mortals to truths they had long forgotten? The celestial storm was no ordinary tempest. It was a moment when time itself seemed to tremble. Colors shimmered in the clouds, and the air sang with echoes that stirred hearts in every village. Tonight we invite you to listen closely, to lean in, and let the storm of Zeus awaken your wonder. The world was quiet once, before the sky began to stir with whispers too ancient for mortal tongues. Mountains stood tall, their peaks kissed by dawn, while rivers sang their endless songs through the valleys. Seas shimmered like mirrors, reflecting stars that guided travelers and dreamers across endless waters. In that age, the earth breathed in rhythm with the heavens, and harmony bound all living things together. Mortals worked in the fields, their hands shaping grain, their eyes raised often to the vast open skies. Children ran along hillsides, laughing as the wind brushed their hair with invisible, gentle fingers. Sailors looked to constellations, tracing pathways of light that promised safe passage through the night. The gods watched from Olympus, distant yet near, their presence felt in storms, in harvests, in flame. Zeus sat upon his throne, not as tyrant but as guardian, holding the fragile balance of creation. His gaze swept the world, tender and commanding, as if he carried the weight of both dawn and dusk. The sky above him stretched like a great tapestry, stitched with stars, ever shifting, ever alive. To mortals, the heavens were mystery, but to Zeus, each cloud was a word, and each star was a story. The calm was deep, almost sacred, as if silence itself was waiting for a voice to break its stillness. Birds took flight at dawn, their wings painting arcs of freedom against the golden canvas of the Sunday. At night, the air was filled with songs, flutes, and lyres, echoing the heartbeat of villages below. Fires glowed in the distance, not fierce, but warm, casting shadows that danced like spirits of joy. The calm before the storm was not fear, but beauty stretched wide across time, fragile, yet enduring. Mortals felt it in their bones, though they could not name it, a pulse that hummed beneath the earth. Even the ocean paused, waves curling softer, as though the sea itself waited for something to arrive. The wind slowed its wandering, carrying scents of olive groves, jasmine, and rain yet to be born. In every corner of the land, silence turned sacred, as if listening for the breath of the divine. For Zeus, silence was not emptiness, but a canvas, waiting for thunder to write its luminous verse. He knew storms were more than weather. They were messages, woven in lightning, spoken through clouds. The calm was a gift, a moment to prepare hearts, to remind mortals of wonder before revelation came. Children looked skyward and asked their elders why stars flickered, why clouds glowed faintly at dusk. Elders smiled softly, recalling old tales of gods who wrote secrets in thunder and truth in rain. The world was not asleep. It was awake, in waiting, poised like a harp before the first note is played. Mountains echoed with stillness, valleys breathed quietly, and forests held their roots in patient calm. Each leaf shimmered as if it knew the coming storm was not chaos, but a song the world must hear. The balance of sky and earth trembled slightly, like a breath drawn in before the story begins. And in Olympus, the gods exchanged glances, sensing the stirring of winds older than their thrones. Some wondered if change was near, while others smiled knowingly, as if destiny was unfolding at last. The calm before the celestial storm was no accident. It was a promise, a prelude, a sacred beginning. Zeus sat silently, his hand resting near the scepter, his eyes glowing with both peace and decision. He did not move yet, for silence itself was part of the story. The first chapter of the storm to come. Mortals below continued their lives, yet their dreams grew vivid, filled with skies alive with color. No one could explain why hearts beat faster at night, or why shadows seemed brighter in the firelight. The earth was alive, the air electric, but the storm was still hidden, cradled in the heart of Zeus. This was the calm, not of emptiness, but of expectation, where silence spoke louder than thunder. It was the moment before music, before lightning carved the sky, before the world was forever changed. And so the first part of our tale rests here, in stillness, waiting for the heavens to awaken. Zeus was more than a god. He was the vast horizon, the unseen hand holding the balance of the skies. Upon Olympus, he sat not only as ruler, but as the guardian of order, harmony, and sacred promise. The mountains bowed to him, not out of fear, but recognition that his breath stirred clouds to motion. His eyes, bright as lightning, saw both the grandeur of stars and the quiet labor of mortal hands. Every thunderbolt he carried was not weapon but symbol, a torch of justice, a flame of unbroken will. Mortals looked upward and whispered his name in gratitude, hoping storms would bless their harvests. When rains fell gentle, they believed Zeus was smiling, guiding rivers to nourish their fields below. When thunder rolled across valleys, they heard not menace, but the reminder of a divine protector. The people feared his power, yes, but deeper still, they trusted the rhythm of his eternal presence. For Zeus was not chaos. He was order itself, the unseen thread stitching sky and earth together. The gods around him knew this truth, though they often quarreled, their voices clashing like waves. Yet Zeus remained constant, the calm center in their storm, his judgment like stone beneath rivers. He watched Hera with patience, Athena with pride, Apollo with admiration for his radiant art. His family was the firmament itself, a chorus of powers bound together by destiny and by his rule. Zeus understood that his storms were teachers, each flash of lightning a lesson written across night. Mortals learned to read these signs, charting their lives by thunder, as if it were scripture in the sky. For sailors, his storms were maps. For farmers, they were omens. For poets, they were sacred songs. The air itself seemed to bend around his presence, alive with anticipation, charged with unspoken truth. Birds circled higher when his gaze turned skyward, as though the winds shifted with a single thought. Clouds gathered not in rebellion, but in reverence, eager to carry the light he shaped with his hand. Zeus's throne was carved of cloud and light, yet it bore the weight of ages, heavy with responsibility. He did not rule for himself, but for balance, to keep chaos from swallowing the fragile world below. He remembered times when storms had grown wild, and he vowed never to let fury blind his judgment. Thus, each bolt he cast was measured, each storm a message, each thunder a word of guidance. The mortals, though small, were precious to him, their prayers rising like sparks into his endless sky. Children lifted their arms to storms, laughing as rain washed over them like blessings from Olympus. Mothers told stories of Zeus's kindness, of skies opening gently when their fields thirsted for rain. Fathers bowed heads in reverence, knowing lightning carried wisdom as much as fire. Even in silence, mortals felt his nearness, like a heartbeat within the very air they breathed. The temples they built were not prisons for gods, but bridges, places where mortal voices met the sky. Zeus cherished these offerings, not for gold or stone, but for the sincerity that bound heaven to earth. He listened, though he spoke through thunder. He answered, though his words were lightning and clouds. In every storm, he carried the dual gift of awe and comfort, reminding mortals they were never alone. The keeper of the skies bore his duty with solemn grace, yet with compassion etched in every storm. When night fell, Zeus gazed upon constellations as a shepherd might upon flocks of silver light. The stars obeyed his order, forming paths that mortals would follow for generations to come. He raised no sword, only light, no armies, only storms that shaped the rhythm of creation itself. For what is thunder if not the heartbeat of the universe, echoing the will of the divine? What is lightning, if not the handwriting of Zeus, inscribing truths upon the endless night? He was not distant, not untouchable. He was present in every drop of rain, in every shift of wind. Mortals believed this, and so they lived in trust, their songs rising like hymns to the open sky. The gods believed it too, even when they quarreled, for none could deny the calm in his command. Zeus, keeper of the skies, was the guardian of balance, the eternal light between storm and silence. And as the heavens prepared to awaken, his role as protector shone brighter than ever before. Clouds began to gather, not heavy with darkness, but glowing faintly with colors unseen in mortal days. They moved slowly at first, like dancers circling, weaving shapes across the wide expanse of the sky. Farmers in their fields paused, leaning on wooden tools, their eyes drawn upward in silent wonder. Children tugged at their mothers' sleeves, pointing toward the heavens with laughter mixed with awe. The air changed, cool yet alive, as though every breath carried a secret waiting to be discovered. Birds lifted from treetops, not in fear but in instinct, soaring higher as if guided by hidden signals. Fishermen on quiet shores looked up, nets forgotten, their hearts beating to rhythms not their own. The first signs were subtle, not storm or lightning, but whispers of light curling within drifting clouds. Colors shimmered violet, silver, gold like threads of tapestry stretched across the dome of heaven. No mortal had seen such skies, where clouds glowed from within as though touched by fireless flame. The elders gathered in village squares, murmuring old stories of gods who spoke through the firmament. Some said it was a blessing, others a warning, yet all agreed the heavens held meaning beyond words. At night the signs grew stronger. The stars seemed to pulse brighter, joining the rhythm of unseen drums. Constellations shifted, not broken, but moving as if retelling ancient tales long forgotten by mortals. The winds carried voices, not loud but clear, like echoes of hymns sung before the world was young. Travelers on lonely roads felt it too, the hush of night broken by flashes of light within the clouds. Dogs barked, then fell silent, their ears turning to the sky as though listening to something sacred. The earth itself seemed to wait, its silence deep, its rivers flowing slower beneath the glowing skies. Shepherds on hillsides knelt instinctively, unsure why, yet certain the heavens were alive with intent. Each passing day the signs grew, clouds gathering not in menace but in solemn beauty above the land. The people began to dream of skies filled with radiant storms, their sleep woven with celestial fire. Poets awoke at dawn, scribbling verses of thunder shaped like wings and lightning carved like stars. The signs were not chaos but order, not fear but harmony, as if the sky rehearsed a divine performance. In temples, priests lit fires, watching as smoke rose straight upward, unbroken by wind or breath. They declared the heavens were speaking, though none could yet decipher the message carried above. Zeus himself stirred, watching the shifting heavens, knowing the first signs of his storm were blooming. He saw mortals pause, heard their whispers, and felt their hearts rise with questions toward Olympus. The storm he held was not yet released, but its presence was woven in every cloud and every star. The gods on Olympus noticed too, their voices hushed, their gazes fixed upon the painted skies. Athena saw wisdom in the patterns. Apollo heard music. Hera felt the weight of change in the air. Even Poseidon, lord of seas, felt his waters calm, listening to the call of winds, not his own. The heavens became a stage, and the signs were curtains drawn back to reveal destiny unfolding. Children traced the glowing skies with their fingers, calling them stairways built for the gods. Sailors whispered of safe passage, believing the strange colors were blessings painted on the waves. Farmers saw hope in the glowing clouds, imagining fertile rains that would bless their humble soil. No heart was untouched, no soul unmoved, for the heavens wrote across the sky a story for all. The first signs were gentle, yet their power was undeniable, shaping thoughts and stirring dreams. It was as if the entire world held its breath, caught between silence and the voice of coming thunder. Mortals felt small yet infinite, their eyes filled with light, not of sun, not of moon, but of eternity. And though no lightning yet split the skies, the storm was already alive, waiting to be revealed. The first signs in the heavens were not warnings, but invitations, calling every soul to witness. It was the beginning of wonder, the opening chapter of a storm, not of ruin, but of revelation. And so the skies glowed brighter, carrying promises whispered in colors that only gods could weave. On Olympus, the air was alive with murmur, for the gods had seen the skies shift in radiant mystery. Hera, queen of heaven, stood tall, her eyes narrowing as clouds shimmered with unearthly color. To her, the storm was not merely beauty, it was power, perhaps challenge, perhaps omen of change. She spoke of caution, reminding all that mortals were fragile, easily lost in awe and fear alike. Athena, wise and radiant, gazed upward with a calm no storm could shake, her mind weaving meaning. She saw patterns in the lights, lessons written in thunder, wisdom carried in the trembling sky. To her, the storm was not threat, but teacher, guiding mortals to rise beyond their limits of thought. Apollo strummed his lyre, listening to the hum within the winds as though it were a hidden song. He smiled, for to him the storm was music, a celestial hymn echoing across the vastness of heaven. Each bolt of unseen lightning was like a note, each rumble of thunder a rhythm of eternal beauty. Poseidon, far from Olympus, felt his seas calm as if bowing to the storm's higher authority. He grumbled, uneasy, for he knew storms were not his to command when the sky itself trembled. Aphrodite traced the colors in the clouds with her eyes, whispering of beauty woven into chaos. She believed mortals would fall in love with the heavens, their hearts stirred by wonder and longing. Hermes laughed softly, hearing the winds speak secrets too swift for others to catch or understand. To him, the storm was a message, a divine courier carrying words from fate itself across the world. He longed to follow the winds, to see where their whispers might lead, and what truths they would tell. Ares crossed his arms, restless, for though no battle raged, he felt the fire of storms stir his spirit. Yet even he could not mistake the difference. This was no storm of destruction, but one of destiny. Hestia tended her flame, calm and unshaken, reminding all that even storms bowed to the hearth. To her, the storm was balance, a force that tested yet never broke the sacred bond of unity. The council of gods stood divided, their voices carrying different meanings, yet all sensed truth. The storm was not ordinary. It carried weight, it carried voice, it carried the breath of Zeus himself. Though none dared speak against him, each wondered what role they must play when thunder awoke. The heavens glowed brighter each day, and Olympus itself seemed to hum with unseen anticipation. The gods, though mighty, felt small before the grandeur of light swirling in endless motion above. For if Zeus would unleash the storm, it would be felt in every realm, from sea to sky to mortal heart. Hera warned again that mortals might falter, their faith shaken by wonders too great to bear. Athena answered softly that wisdom grows only when wonder pushes the boundaries of fear. Apollo sang notes that matched the hum of thunder, weaving harmony with the rhythm of the clouds. Hermes whispered that fate was moving faster now, its steps traced in the patterns of lightning. The council ended not with agreement, but with silence. As each god turned their eyes skyward, they saw clouds swirl in colors. They heard winds hum. They felt the pulse of something vast. Even the thrones of Olympus seemed to tremble gently, as if the mountain itself listened. And far below, mortals carried on, unaware of the divine debate echoing in the halls of heaven. Yet their dreams told truths, visions of gods in council, visions of skies alive with voices. The gods knew this storm would bind heavens and earth in ways never written in their scrolls. For the celestial storm was not merely a display, it was a bridge, a dialogue, a living hymn. And in the heart of Zeus, the storm waited, patient, until its voice would roll across creation. Across the mortal lands, whispers spread like wind, carrying tales of skies painted with celestial fire. Villagers gathered each evening, gazing upward, their hearts both trembling and lifted with wonder. Fires burned low, but eyes remained bright, fixed on the heavens where colors danced like woven silk. The storm had not yet broken, yet its presence pressed upon every soul like a promise unspoken. Farmers, weary from toil, paused longer than usual, staring at clouds glowing softly above fields. They felt as though the earth itself waited, as if seeds and soil held breath with them in silence. Fishermen, casting nets at dawn, found waters shining, kissed by reflections of the radiant skies. They whispered of blessings, believing their catches grew plentiful beneath the storm's unseen hand. In mountain villages, shepherds heard the winds sing, carrying voices too delicate to be mere breeze. Their flocks calmed, grazing in peace, as if the storm soothed even the smallest of creatures. Travelers carried stories from town to town, their words embroidered with awe and trembling faith. Each tale grew brighter, yet none exaggerated, for the heavens themselves exceeded any telling. Children dreamed of stairways made of light, climbing toward gods who watched from shining thrones. Mothers soothed them, yet listened closely, sensing truths hidden within childish visions of wonder. Merchants sold charms, shaped like clouds and stars, believing the storm's blessing would bring fortune. Markets filled with songs praising the skies, voices rising in unison beneath painted heavens. The storm, though silent, united villages, binding strangers in awe of something greater than all. Priests lit sacred fires, their chants steady, asking for wisdom to understand divine intention. Temples overflowed with offerings, fruits and grains laid humbly before altars glowing in firelight. Some prayed for protection, others for guidance, yet all felt closer to Olympus than ever before. At night, dreams deepened, visions vivid with rivers of light flowing across endless skies. Mortals awoke with words of prophecy, though few could recall them fully, only fragments of truth. One farmer dreamed of thunder shaped like wings, guiding him to plant with faith, not with fear. A child saw a great tree rooted in clouds, its branches spreading stars across the wide heavens. An elder spoke of voices calling his name, not in warning, but in welcome, calm and profound. The dreams wove through villages like rivers, binding mortals to one another in shared mystery. Even skeptics grew quiet, their doubts softened by skies that glowed with undeniable presence. For who could deny the light above, shifting and alive, weaving stories across the endless dome? The celestial storm had not yet broken, yet its hand brushed gently against every mortal life. No city was untouched, no hut too humble, for the heavens called equally to all beneath them. In great cities, scholars gathered on marble steps, writing furiously beneath the radiant nights. They charted stars that moved like dancers, recording shifts never seen in centuries past. Some feared the knowledge, others welcomed it, but none could deny the order within the storm. The skies were not chaos, they were art. Divine geometry carved in clouds and thunder. Poets sang in streets, their voices carrying verses of light painted across the dark canvas of night. Their words stirred hearts, lifting weary souls with promises that the heavens spoke of destiny. In small cottages, families prayed together, hands clasped, voices steady, eyes lifted skyward. They did not pray in fear, but in hope, for the storm felt more like gift than threat. Across oceans, sailors guided by stars found skies alive, their compasses steady, their paths clear. They trusted the storm as guardian, its glow guiding ships safely across waters wide and deep. And so the mortal world lived in waiting, suspended between silence and the promise of thunder. Each day, skies grew brighter, each night filled with dreams too vast to be born of human thought. Mortals did not yet know the storm's purpose, but they felt its nearness as surely as breath. It was not a force apart from them, but within them, calling their spirits to rise and awaken. The celestial storm was not yet unleashed, yet already it reshaped hearts, thoughts, and dreams. And still the skies glowed, waiting, holding secrets only Zeus himself could yet unveil. High above, in the hidden heights of Olympus, Zeus watched the world stir beneath his radiant skies. The storm swirled quietly within him, not rage nor wrath, but a force vast and ancient, waiting. He stood upon his throne, silent, as though the very weight of eternity pressed upon his shoulders. In his eyes, the clouds reflected, silver and gold, alive, with sparks of thunder not yet released. For this storm was not born of fury, but of purpose, shaped from wisdom older than mortal memory. Zeus felt the pull of balance, the call of destiny, urging him to reveal what the heavens concealed. He raised his hand, and the winds shifted slightly, carrying whispers across mountains and seas. The other gods, though proud, grew hushed, sensing the patience of their king nearing its end. He spoke not in words, but in silence, his will flowing into the very air, steady and unshakable. The storm within him was harmony, threads of light woven with thunder, bound by eternal law. It was not a storm of ruin, but a storm of renewal, a gift meant to bind heaven and earth. Zeus remembered the times when mortals faltered, when fear ruled, when faith was thin as shadow. Now he saw their hearts lift, their voices join, their dreams carried upward like prayers of fire. And he knew the storm was ready, not to crush, but to awaken, to call mortals closer to Olympus. He stepped forward, the sky above Olympus trembling, not in terror, but in reverence of his will. Lightning shimmered faintly, not striking, but painting the heavens with quiet, living flame. Thunder rolled gently, like drums echoing far away, steady as the heartbeat of creation itself. The gods gathered, silent, their eyes fixed on Zeus, waiting for the moment his storm would rise. Athena bowed her head, knowing wisdom was carried in thunder as much as in scrolls and words. Apollo held his lyre still, for even his music seemed small before the rhythm of the coming storm. Hera watched, solemn, her gaze both proud and wary, for she knew storms carried change, eternal. Poseidon's seas stilled, waves falling silent, honoring a power older than tides and deeper than salt. Aphrodite whispered of beauty in lightning, love hidden in clouds, grace woven into thunder's song. Hermes leaned close to the winds, listening, eager to carry the first words when Zeus would speak. Ares, restless, clenched his fists, but felt peace where usually fire burned, subdued by calm might. Hestia's flame glowed warmer, steady and bright, welcoming the balance carried in Zeus's will. Then Zeus lifted his voice, deep as mountains, clear as rivers, resonant as the endless sky. My storm is not of war, he spoke, but of light, a bridge to bind heaven and earth forevermore. His words rang through clouds, through rivers, through hearts, settling like seeds in fertile soil. Mortals stirred in their sleep, dreaming of voices vast, awakening with tears of wonder, not of fear. Temples shook, not in collapse, but in harmony, their stones alive with the breath of his decree. Every realm, from ocean's depth to mountain peak, felt the stirring of the celestial storm. The skies grew brighter, threads of lightning weaving patterns never seen by mortal or god. The winds carried songs, not shrill, but pure, like choirs hidden within the folds of heaven. Zeus stood firm, knowing the time was near, though not yet fully come, for patience was sacred. The storm must arrive not in haste, but in perfect moment, when hearts were ready to receive. And so he held it still, shaping it like a sculptor, balancing thunder with light, power with grace. The gods watched, awed, for even they felt smaller, humbled by the vastness of his intent. Mortals prayed, mortals dreamed, mortals listened, though none could yet grasp the full design. And in that waiting, a great stillness spread, as though the world itself leaned closer to listen. The celestial storm of Zeus lived, not yet revealed, but present in every breath, every star. It was destiny, not disaster, harmony, not ruin, a gift woven with light, eternal and divine. And in that moment, all creation knew when Zeus would speak again. The heavens themselves would sing. Far below Olympus, the mortal world stirred with a sense of waiting, as though time itself slowed. Skies glowed each night brighter, colors swirling like rivers of light across the dome of heaven. Villagers gathered on rooftops, their eyes wide, hearts lifted with awe too vast to measure. Dreams came more vivid now, guiding even the simplest souls to glimpse wonders beyond reach. One child dreamed of a ladder of thunder, climbing toward a crown made of silver clouds. An old shepherd dreamed of stars falling into his hands, burning warm yet leaving no wound. A maiden dreamed of oceans turning gold, waves rising like voices, singing songs of joy. Each dream was different, yet all carried the same rhythm, the pulse of the coming storm. Poets recorded every vision, scribbling by candlelight, afraid to lose a single sacred word. Priests spoke carefully, reminding mortals the gods moved not in anger but in meaning. Some feared, but more began to hope, believing the storm would be a gift, not a curse. Markets filled with carvings of stars and charms shaped like clouds, sold with reverent hands. Songs rose in the streets, blending with laughter, as though the air itself carried new music. Travelers brought stories from distant lands, each one echoing the same radiant wonders. No city was untouched, no village forgotten, for the storm's reach was as wide as breath. Children no longer feared the dark, for the skies themselves glowed brighter than lanterns. Fishermen sang at sea, their nets heavy, their hearts light, trusting the heavens above. Sailors steered by glowing constellations, their journeys guided by patterns never seen before. Even the weary felt strength renewed, as if the storm's waiting light poured into their bones. Scholars gathered at temples, charting stars that shifted like words written across eternity. They argued fiercely, yet all agreed the heavens were telling a story larger than mortals knew. Elders nodded quietly, saying the gods had returned to remind mortals of their divine kinship. In hidden groves, mystics whispered prayers, feeling the earth itself hum with living fire. The soil grew richer, rain softer, fruits sweeter, as though nature leaned into the storm's rhythm. Animals calmed, their eyes bright, listening to winds carrying voices of something eternal. The mortal world lived not in dread, but in stillness, their days touched by wonder's hand. And yet, silence lingered, for all knew the storm was near, though not yet fully revealed. The anticipation bound them, weaving villages, cities, oceans into one vast tapestry of waiting. Even skeptics bowed their heads at night, their doubts softened by colors painted above. One farmer told his son, "If this storm is from Zeus, then it is not to break us, but to lift us." The boy listened, holding faith in words as much as in stars glowing gently overhead. Night after night the glow deepened, lightning weaving across clouds in tender silence. Thunder hummed faintly, not to frighten, but to remind the world of the voice yet to come. Mortals felt smaller than ever, yet larger too, as though the storm lived within their own hearts. It was not distance they felt from Olympus, but closeness, like family awaiting a father's word. And in Olympus itself, Zeus remained patient, letting mortals taste the wonder before revelation. The gods watched quietly, knowing the bond between heaven and earth was already forming. Athena smiled faintly, sensing wisdom blooming in mortal hearts, where doubt once lived. Apollo tuned his lyre, ready to match music to thunder when the storm would finally sing. Hermes leaned forward, restless, eager to carry the storm's message into every corner of earth. Hera stood proud, yet cautious, watching how mortals handled the weight of so much awe. Poseidon calmed his seas further, honoring skies that ruled even beyond his watery domain. Aphrodite whispered that love itself was being born in every heart lifted toward the heavens. And Ares, though restless, bowed his head, sensing no war could rival the storm's quiet power. The waiting stretched, yet none grew weary, for the air itself felt alive with promise. Mortals prayed less for protection and more for guidance, ready to walk where thunder led. The celestial storm had not broken, yet it lived, flowing through every dream, song, and prayer. And, as dawn painted the horizon gold, the world knew soon the silence would give way to thunder. The dawn came soft, but the horizon trembled, as if the earth itself awaited the first note of thunder. Birds circled high, their wings glowing against skies painted with silver and violet streams of light. The sea reflected the heavens, turning waves into mirrors, each crest crowned with shimmering fire. Across villages, children pointed upward, their laughter ringing like bells through the waking day. Fathers paused their work. Mothers lifted their eyes, all drawn by beauty too vast to ignore. The air carried no fear, only expectancy, as though the world held its breath in gentle reverence. Each breeze hummed, subtle and low, echoing like strings plucked on Apollo's divine golden lyre. Mortals felt the song before they heard it, their skin tingling, their hearts quickened by unseen rhythm. It began faintly, a chorus within clouds, voices neither male nor female, but eternal and unbroken. The music did not descend, but surrounded, filling earth and sky as if creation itself was singing. Shepherds wept at the sound, though their tears were not sorrow, but joy too deep for words. Merchants in crowded streets fell silent, abandoning trade to gaze upward, hands pressed to hearts. Sailors stilled their oars, listening as seas rocked gently, guided by the hymn of divine breath. And then lightning arched, not in fury, but like a brushstroke painting rivers of gold across heaven. Each bolt carried a melody, weaving harmony with thunder that now rolled like distant drums. It was the celestial storm's beginning, not to strike, but to awaken every soul who listened. The gods above leaned forward, their eyes reflecting the brilliance of Zeus's unfolding design. Athena whispered, "Wisdom blooms in music. Mortals will learn not through fear, but through harmony." Apollo smiled, plucking his strings in time, adding his golden notes to lightning's radiant chords. Hermes darted eagerly, his voice carrying the melody into valleys, mountains, and hidden caves. Aphrodite closed her eyes, feeling love expand, woven into each note that kissed mortal hearts. Poseidon lifted his trident, calming waves that bowed to the rhythm flowing across the sea. Even Hades stirred beneath the earth, his realm warmed by music that softened shadows. And Zeus, silent, still watched as harmony spread, patient, until the storm's voice grew whole. Mortals gathered in circles, joining hands, singing words they did not know, they remembered. Ancient chants returned unbidden, verses older than temples, carried on tongues with ease. One boy cried out a phrase unknown, yet all understood, for meaning rose beyond language. An old woman answered, her trembling voice strong, as if she spoke from memory not her own. Thus the storm became chorus, blending gods and mortals, past and present, sky and earth. No boundary remained, no distance held, as though all creation had become one vast choir. Colors deepened, lightning dancing with grace, not rage, painting skies with threads of eternity. Thunder pulsed softly, like a heartbeat vast enough to cradle mountains and oceans alike. The music swelled, not deafening but infinite, filling every hollow of the mortal soul. Dreams returned to waking minds, each note unlocking visions buried deep within human hearts. Some saw fields of endless light, others rivers flowing with stars, all paths leading skyward. The music lifted burdens unseen, turning grief to peace, doubt to clarity, fear to wonder. No crown, no scepter was shown, for the true gift of Zeus was not power, but remembrance. Remembrance that mortals were not forgotten, but bound eternally to the rhythm of the divine. In that moment, even silence was music, for every pause carried meaning, every breath was song. Children danced barefoot, their laughter rising higher than rooftops, mingling with lightning's glow. Elders lifted staffs toward heaven, their voices steady, honoring the bond renewed that day. Fishermen cast nets not for fish but for stars reflected in waters calm and golden bright. Travelers stopped upon their roads, lifting eyes to the sky, feeling home no matter where they stood. The storm grew, yet its growing was not wrath but abundance, overflowing in radiant blessing. And though Zeus had yet to speak, his silence itself was a voice, promising more yet to come. The celestial storm had begun to sing, and the world was listening, united by wonder's call. The storm swelled higher, its light threading through every horizon, touching seas, deserts, and forests. Mortals stood beneath skies that no longer felt distant but alive, as though the heavens leaned close. Lightning curved in spirals, painting signs across the clouds. Symbols older than human memory. Each flash told a story, brief yet eternal, carrying knowledge carved into the fabric of creation. Priests whispered the meanings, though none fully grasped them, for the truth felt larger than words. Children understood more than elders, their hearts open, hearing wisdom as music, not riddle. A boy laughed, saying, "The sky is teaching us to dream bigger," and the crowd believed him. An old farmer nodded, murmuring, "Yes, the storm is a mirror, showing us what we already are." Songs rose without command, melodies uniting strangers as though they had always been kin. Hands joined across borders, languages forgotten, for the storm gave all a common tongue. Even silence among them was shared, a stillness that comforted rather than divided. And in Olympus, the gods felt the mortal bond grow strong, like roots weaving across the earth. Athena lifted her gaze, proud of the wisdom taking shape in mortal minds without fear. Apollo's music grew brighter, his notes aligning with thunder in a perfect golden cadence. Hermes darted from peak to valley, carrying laughter that echoed as clearly as divine song. Aphrodite whispered love into every union, every embrace beneath the glowing sky. Poseidon raised his seas in gentle swells, his waters shimmering with constellations alive. Even Hades allowed flowers to bloom near his gates, stirred by harmony that softened stone. And Zeus, the silent conductor, let the symphony grow, waiting for the moment to speak. Mortals dreamed not of kings or crowns, but of unity, of steps taken hand in hand across lands. A mother dreamed of children flying on winds, their laughter weaving with thunder's rhythm. A traveler dreamed of roads lit with stars, every path leading home no matter how far. Dreams became messages, shared openly, no envy or doubt, only awe at the storm's gift. Fires burned brighter in villages, their warmth mingling with the glow above. Both heaven and earth aflame. Fishermen cast nets of light into seas, pulling stars instead of fish, singing joyfully to the waves. Merchants gave away goods freely, saying no coin could equal the worth of the storm's blessings. Warriors laid down arms, realizing no weapon could match the strength of shared harmony. Poets wept as words spilled from them like rivers, capturing visions they had never dared to write. Even skeptics softened, their hearts shifting from doubt to wonder, humbled beneath radiant skies. The storm's voice grew louder, not to frighten, but to call, like a father gathering children near. Lightning traced paths down mountains, but left no scar, only flowers blooming where it touched. Thunder rolled gently, each wave a reminder that power need not destroy it, could also create. Zeus's silence remained, but it was felt like presence, vast and steady, guiding the unfolding. Mortals prayed not for wealth or victory, but for wisdom, peace, and the courage to remember. One girl cried, "We are not small, we are part of the storm," and her words echoed as truth. Crowds lifted voices in agreement, their chants rising, weaving into the fabric of thunder. The celestial storm became more than weather. It was a covenant between gods and mortals, not written in stone or sealed by blood, but sung in light, carved into the living sky. Every breeze carried promise, every spark of lightning a reminder that creation itself is alive. The gods watched closely, their own hearts stirred, for mortals had become mirrors of eternity. Athena turned to Zeus, whispering, "The time is near. They are ready for your voice." Apollo stilled his lyre, the strings glowing, waiting to echo Zeus's first word when spoken. Hera stood steady, proud, her gaze fixed on mortals who no longer bowed from fear, but from love. Hermes quieted, eager but respectful, sensing the stillness before revelation. Even Ares, restless, hushed his spirit, for he too felt the weight of peace stronger than battle. The world held its breath as thunder paused, the storm's great chorus softening to a hush. Lightning dimmed, clouds gathered, as though all creation leaned inward to listen. And in that silence, vast and golden, mortals felt it. Zeus was about to speak at last. The clouds gathered close, wrapping the heavens in silver, as though the sky itself leaned to listen. Lightning dimmed to a glow, not fierce, but soft, like lanterns guiding hearts into sacred silence. Thunder ceased, leaving stillness vast and golden, a pause that carried weight greater than sound. Every mortal stood motionless, from mountain to shore, their breaths bound in one rhythm of waiting. Even the seas calmed, their waves folding inward, mirroring skies that shimmered with quiet power. The storm had sung, but now it hushed, preparing the world for the voice of Zeus at last. From Olympus, the king of gods rose, his crown gleaming with threads of cloud and star alike. His eyes shone not with wrath, but with depth, carrying the memory of eternity's first dawn. When he spoke, it was not thunder, but warmth, his voice flowing like rivers of golden fire. "Children of earth," he began, "you have not been forgotten. You are woven into the breath of heaven." His words carried across valleys, seas, and cities, yet each listener felt them as whispers near. "No crown nor scepter shall bind you, for your power is within the storm, lives already in your soul." Mortals wept, not in fear, but in recognition, for his words echoed truths buried deep inside them. "You are not small," said Zeus, "but sparks of eternity. Walk not in shadow, but in the light you carry." He raised his hand, and lightning curved in gentle arcs, weaving symbols across the living sky. "These are not warnings, but remembrance," he spoke. "You are bound not by chains, but by harmony." Mortals lifted their faces, eyes wide, seeing themselves reflected in the glow of radiant clouds. Zeus's voice deepened, yet never harsh. "Fear has no dominion where love and wisdom guide your path." Apollo struck his lyre, soft and steady, weaving music beneath his father's resounding words. Athena stepped forward, her gaze shining with approval, wisdom flowing with every syllable. Hermes carried echoes of the speech into the smallest corners, ensuring no heart was left untouched. Aphrodite sent love like fragrance, filling every embrace, every touch with divine remembrance. Poseidon bowed his seas, waves reflecting constellations that mirrored the unity of heaven and earth. Hades himself remained still, yet a flower bloomed at his feet, stirred by harmony unbroken. And Hera, steadfast queen, stood beside Zeus, her eyes glowing with pride for mortals below. "Take this storm not as omen, but as covenant," Zeus proclaimed, his voice bright as dawn. "It is not mine alone, but yours as well. A bond eternal between gods and those who walk the earth." Mortals answered with song, voices lifted together, weaving hymns they did not know they remembered. Children danced, elders raised their staffs, warriors bowed, poets sang, and all hearts beat as one. The celestial storm pulsed brighter, yet it did not strike, it embraced, covering the world in light. Zeus spread his arms wide, the storm expanding, until earth itself glowed like a jewel in the dark. "Carry this remembrance," he said, "that you may walk not in fear, but in wonder everlasting." With that, his voice faded, but not in silence, for the storm continued to hum within every soul. The clouds softened, unraveling into dawn, as though the heavens smiled upon the mortal realm. Lightning dissolved into golden threads, scattering into the air, carried into every heart. Thunder became heartbeat, quiet and steady, reminding all that Zeus's covenant would endure. The gods withdrew, yet their presence lingered, not above but within the mortals who believed. No temple could contain what was given, no stone could hold what was etched into the sky. The storm had ended, yet it lived on, alive in dreams, songs, and the pulse of creation itself. Mortals did not return to life unchanged, for their steps now carried rhythm, their hands bore light. Fishermen sang to seas that glowed, farmers planted in soil kissed by golden rain, poets wrote forever, children dreamed brighter, elders spoke softer, families lived fuller, all under the memory of the storm. And though the skies cleared, they never looked the same, for every cloud now carried quiet promise. Every breeze whispered of Olympus. Every star flickered with the memory of Zeus's gentle storm. Thus, the celestial storm ended, not as a tempest, but as an awakening written across eternity.